This is a review of the new Nintendo 3DS system. I got the Cosmo Black one. As you can see, it has kind of a fade on it. Looks kind of unfinished spray paint actually, but it looks alright. Comes with, of course, the power cord that you'd expect it to come with. And it comes with a new feature, a docking station. As far as size goes, it's a little bit thicker than the DSi, about the same size as the second gen DS. So basically, if you have a favorite carrying case of some sort, it'll easily fit into an existing one you might have. So the first questions I had to ask was, one, what does it do to the normal games I like to play on my DS? And two, is that price tag really worth it if I already own a DSi and I can now buy an iPod Touch instead? And the reason I bring up the iPod Touch is it shares a lot of the same functionality, and the games are 99 cents, and the games are really good. Take Plants vs. Zombies. It's $20 on a DS, 99 cents on an iPhone, and it plays better on the iPhone. So these are some things I had to question myself before making the purchase. So I'll point out a couple cool features. You got a dual camera system here that helps you make 3D pictures. Headphone jacks centered. A new wireless switch here. Ideally, I assume this is for like airplane mode. You got the bumpers on the sides here. Your power outlet. That's where your game goes. The new metal stylus goes in the back. It's now retractable. And on the side you got your volume and your SD slot. There's one thing to note when you open it. It actually has a little bit of flimsy play here. It reminds me of an old laptop. The DS's traditionally have had a pretty good lock. This actually has a little bit of a cheap feel to it. You get over it pretty quickly, but it's a little surprising. So I'll go over some of the big things. I'm not going to obviously explain the basics of the DS. I assume most of you probably had one. So, right off the bat, it has this new controller. It's pretty cool. I was playing Mario 64 DS. Made it a little easier than using the traditional thumb pad. It's smooth. It wiggles nice and clean. It's a nice improvement. I wish it had two so you could do an FPS, but oh well. Then there's the 3D aspect. I'd like to show you, crank it up so you can see it. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see it very well on here. Now, on the 3D. At first, it seemed really cool. It's a little odd. You get the 3D up here and your eyes then have to adjust to the non-3D down below. And after a while, if you have the 3D cranked up, at least my eyes and my friends who have this as well, your eyes do get fatigued. They get a little sore. You find yourself slowly playing it half 3D, and then sometimes you go ahead and turn it off. If you have kids that like to huddle around and watch each other play DS games, it is impossible for them to watch it with the 3D on because there's only one or two money spots to actually watch it. So the other question I had is, what happens when you put a regular DS game in? How does the big screen and the small screen react? Well, the big screen squishes down and becomes the same size as the small screen, so it doesn't really take advantage of the larger screen. There's not any real graphic changes. I was hoping. But, you know, it's still a DS and plays as good as a DS does. Probably the coolest thing that comes with the 3DS is a couple of these artificial reality games. Hit this little guy and it's Face Raiders. Face Raiders basically has you take a picture of your face and you fly around and you have to actually swing the DS around the room to shoot yourself. So you see your couch, your TV, everything in the background. Kind of fun. And then there's another AR games. Now this involves throwing a card on the table, and around that card via the cameras comes up virtual reality characters, and again you work yourself around the table shooting. You kind of have to stand up to play these games or sit in a stool of some sort. So for those of you who love everything Nintendo makes and are huge DS fanatics and waiting for the next thing, get the Nintendo 3DS. It's an amazing piece of equipment. You will love it. I barely touched on half of the things it does. But for me, since I wasn't really using the 3D effect that much, it did affect my eyes after a while. The new controller is not really worth it, and I can't share any of those really cool 3D images with anybody else. I think I'm going to stick with my DS, get an iPod Touch, and keep playing Angry Birds.